Anyways, let me start my podcast. I just came back doing a really round robin trip. Doing an A/B testing scheduling system. I finally found out a scheduling system that works for me. A lot of Frank's stuff. Let's take a look at some of Frank's stuff. I actually don't know. So before I do that, let's go to Amazon. I'm going to do a daily Reddit shout out series of Reddit being probably one of the websites that attracts a lot of low IQ people. Right. So I posed the question. I stopped posting because it really is a low IQ place. Sometimes I'll see a smart post every once in a while, depending on where I go, but it's not worth my time. Right. Low IQ websites generally sometimes will attract high IQ people, and that's the curse of high IQ people. The joke is, it's true, you might have 2.2K thumbs up, right? But the joke is, you realize, oh, they're stupid, I'm gonna go walk away. So let's look at the Darth Jar Jar theory, sorry. Right, I think this was on Reddit a while back. I don't even see this guy anymore. He chooses to make himself less significant. They do this, smart people do this all the time. So look at this guy. Jar Jar Binks was a trained Force user knowing Sith and will play Central. Let's look. Take a look. You watch. You look at his comments like, I'm not getting paid, right? Okay, let's look at this guy. Maybe he posts. I don't know. I could be wrong. He's hiding. I'll show you the intelligence of a post. This. Once he starts his own thread, he's hiding, right? Once you see, that was the only time. Okay, this still proves my point in my opinion. Because arguably, when he finds his own cult, you stay there. I know what smart people do. They have their own little. Yeah, Reddit was really good for a certain time. Let me see. I know there's a couple of these. Right, he's not making. I don't know if he's making money, but he went into hiding. Anyways, yeah, people call me like I'm smoking meth or something, or I'm in psychosis for talking about the reality that people underpay you anyways, right? I don't know. So if you look on assistant manager, because they call that management as well, they just lump it together. I don't see it anymore. God damn, they won't let me. I know they don't let me look at Glassdoor anymore. Glassdoor nowadays, I think a lot of the information is confidential. $25K, okay. So it's $25K. Assistant manager is $25K if you look at that bar there. That's pretty close to 20K, right? So an assistant manager from Amazon possibly makes 20K. So I'm talking about this. Do people... I mean, I obviously did not talk about this question. I kind of went into a tangent here. Now, if people want to criticize me on going on too much of a tangent, I'm okay with that. But no one's really talking about that. Because if you're annoyed by it, that's fine. Just say TLDR. Focus on your main points. That could have all been summarized like that. And these are not, these are the comments of low IQ people. Oh, yeah. I'm in psychosis or I'm on meth. You could just say I'm distracted by details. I honestly am not getting help from anyone. Right? I work a night shift. Thank you for telling me that I'm in psychosis, right? You get dementia when you work in the night shift, right? Right? I just came back from my mom. She's like, well, you got dementia. It's like, well, she's not helping me. Right? How does that help me? I have dementia. At least I remember stuff. It's a miracle, right? You could just say that. Right? Dementia. I like to learn because I keep learning new skills that I don't have dementia, right? Right, that's such a far stretch. Oh yeah, I forgot the one time I wasn't able to pull the trash. Well, I don't know what days to put the trash on, right? All of a sudden that one thing means I have dementia. Maybe. Right? By impairing at least 2 brain functions, like in judgment. I made bad judgment. I misread the directions. I misheard here stuff. That's why I ask questions all the time. Doesn't help me. Doesn't help anyone. Right? People need a job at my age. Right? You gonna help me or not? So people are like that. They just comment about a lot of ignorant stuff. It's like, true, not helping me though. Right? So meanwhile, speaking of disabilities, I take this into account. I created an A/B testing scheduling system. Okay. So this is my what I call my activity diagram. Right? I don't like most people. It's like, well, you have dementia, or you're a. It's like saying you're a retard. Right? Or you have a learning disability. It's like, well, okay. That doesn't help me. Doesn't help anybody. Right? And some people are like, well, you need to spend money, right? Right? You need treatment. Who's hating you? We live in a. I'm so like immune to this stuff. It just doesn't mean anything. It's just completely insignificant. You want me to punch you in the face? Right? It's not a big deal. No trash for 1 week. Whatever. I just carry more stuff. Look, I have 5 stages. I'll tell you something about life. That's why I account for stuff like this. That's why I'm writing a schedule planner. That's why I'm A/B testing stuff. Do I know if it works? Well, I do know a lot of the problems with timing stuff correctly, like putting stuff at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., or anything like that, cannot be fixed. Cannot be fixed with a scheduling. So let's look at some of Thomas Frank's data. I'm doing a short vid on this. Not really. I plan to do more stuff. I may do a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know. I'm learning a bunch of stuff right now. I have no idea what I want to do in my life, but I definitely do not want to stick around. I'll do a short commercial. I can definitely make a. So let's take a look at some of his vids. I'm very much strapped for time.
My upright vibrates every time I slouch, which trains my brain to sit up straight. Most of the advice you hear in the realm of productivity boils down to work more intensely and get rid
So I usually watch his vids for any help. But the thing is, there's no context for anything. I don't understand the methodology on when he uses this. He doesn't really describe why he uses certain stuff. He just gives you a bunch of planners, and that's fine. That is the whole purpose of his video. But there's no, maybe his books talk about it. I don't know. Like you just talk about productivity apps, right?
I have a central tenet that I follow for any kind of work that I'm doing, and it's this. If I find myself doing something repeatedly...
So, he's talking about all these productivity apps. I'm looking through it. And the one thing that's missing from this entire conversation from any of his videos is context. I don't know. I can't feign anger. I've tried before. That might get views, but I don't have any following. Now, there's no Notion. There's no way to know when to use Notion. There's no way to know when to use Microsoft Edge. Right? I have no idea. When do you use Clipboard Manager? He never really tells you. Okay, let's watch. Maybe he does.
Content creation process inside of Notion. We capture ideas there. We run the entire content.
See, what would make this advice really useful is if he gave a methodology and gave a template for every, like, divided the category of, like, look at the entire U.S. population. It's divided into groups of, like, what are the exact procedures that people follow, right? What are the common patterns of thought pattern, like procedural patterns they follow to structure their day, right? You shouldn't just blanket out, give out, here's Tempest Windows productivity. For all you know, you may only need one app, right? You may not even need this, right? You may not need to pay money to even use any of this. Now, don't get me wrong, Frank's a good way to commercialize stuff, right? If you want to advertise Notion, if you want to advertise productivity apps, this is a very good YouTube channel to make money off of. Right? He's not describing the context. I'm doing that. I'm creating a process flow diagram of, like, my whole life. And then I look at my scheduling, right? I look at repeated observation what my procedures are. And then what I do is I create a system of testing various different productivity apps. There's no A/B system anywhere. No one's telling you anything, right? He's telling you progress, but where's the context for any of this? Right? One simple skill to learn any skill faster. Right? There's no context. How to wake up early without feeling tired. Now, some of these vids, they're useful, right? Like this, right? If it's, like, specifically oriented to one task, here's a better way. Here's a better way to reposition his channel. He could be talking about, here's how to wake up earlier in bed in the fastest amount of time. Here's how to wash dishes in the fastest amount of time. That would be a more useful system than just saying, here are my productivity apps. Right? How to and what he does after a couple of vids on how to do certain tasks faster that everyone does commonly, he should talk about, here's how you schedule that if you have this pattern. And then what happens in the comments is, well, I don't necessarily, it says, let me know in the comments below if this is, I presented these 4 previous vids and I did that task in that order. Let me know in the comments below, like, if your procedures follow that exact pattern. Right? Once you can algorize it, right, algorithm it, you can then decide which productivity apps help organize your life best, because each productivity app is suited for a different lifestyle. You should be talking about lifestyles first. There's nothing, like, in this channel that's been anywhere, right? So you can't be strategic when you're planning anything. Right? 5 tools I use to remember everything. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just pointing out Frank's videos are lacking. Now, there may be other channels that do a good job. That's why I did this vid, because I'm actually genuinely curious if anyone has an A-B system. And you could do that with a journal, of course.
Really hard. But do you know one of the parts that's and really at the end of the day, isn't that what my entire channel is all about? So since we are on YouTube out there, so today what I want to do is share some of the other tools, methods that I use to easily read later on. So whatever I'm interested in, be it rock climbing or guitar pedals, to save any web page you want for later.
So for someone with learning disabilities, this really doesn't help me. Right? I care. I don't know if I'll go to school. That's why I did any of this. Right? My chance of going to school is like 0, but that doesn't mean I can't call people out. If we're just going to waste time. Right? Yeah, shouting on your screen, like me shouting at you, hey, you're stupid, doesn't change anyone. I don't want that. What I want is for people to like genuinely change. And if that means I lose a lot of debates, so be it. This doesn't help anyone. Right? So this stuff's better because he's remembering stuff. He's telling his sister to remember everything. So here's Frank. The problem I have with Frank is he just posts a bunch of vids. I thought his channel was all about building an organization system. I thought it was to organize your life. This doesn't help anyone. If he wanted something, he could say, let's use 5 tools I use to remember everything. Have that be the first thing, so remember how your procedures are, because it might be take too long in a journal, right? Offer options, right? To record your activities first and to memorize them. So once you memorize enough of them, you can start developing your own A/B scheduling system because you can make patterns. Once you can do that, you can start experimenting with the procedures you've been doing. Then they can start, like, well, this task takes up the most amount of time. How do I reduce the time? Maybe I have to buy different stuff. You got to test stuff, right? And then once you start testing stuff, you can actually then go a little broad and then look at his vids. But the thing is, he's not teaching you how to think, if that makes sense. Right? He's not teaching you how to think about scheduling whatsoever. Like this has no context. Now, and this is why, if you ever go to a college course, that's why they always teach you to think, because information means nothing without context. And authors, when they write books, they're always not able, they can't override the whole context, because then they lose track of what their main point is. You try it. Trust me, try this. That's why we have to keep simplifying, breaking down what we're talking about. But every time you simplify stuff, you're always subtracting stuff out of the main point, if that makes sense. Right? So using Feynman method, the whole purpose of Feynman method is to be able to store large amounts of data, or an infinity amount of data, into a memory palace. So Frank isn't doing any of that. I'm gonna be frank with you; it's a funny joke. I'm done laughing about it because I just want to get work done, right? And I envy people like this because their subscribership's incredible. I'm not even angry at this point. I mean, their wallpaper looks beautiful. They have a really good Instagram, Twitter feed. He's got 2.4 million subscribers. Right? Look, we just have to stop procrastination. It's just very cluttered. Right? All of this is just very cluttered. This doesn't help anyone build an actual, like, if you look at the comments, are any of you guys saying, hey, look, I bought Frank's book, I followed his system, it helped me? Maybe. wouldn't be surprised if you bought these comments off. Like, I'll at 4:45 tonight, I'll try it with 6:30 this month. I have much more motivation and concentration. So like the people who it helps, right? They already have a thinking methodology.
We make it easy to create things. Find best in class.
Right? A lot of these people came up with a thinking methodology. They went elsewhere. I don't know where, but a lot of the people who watch their vids, they're not aware of it, but they probably came with an A/B testing scheduling system. This is a light vid. I'm just telling you how a lot of this stuff doesn't really help because a lot of these other people like went in studying systems, holistic systems on organizing stuff, and they're not telling you what it is. And if you ask them, I bet you they won't answer either. Because the joke is that's the only thing that's important right now. Like the joke is a lot of people who visit these comments chats, all of them with thumbs up, only visit it because Thomas Frank looks hot. If that makes sense. You can call me on being on meth, but I think a lot of people who comment these thumbs up are just there to LARP at Frank. I don't honestly think they actually think his videos benefit. You kind of do that when you want to flirt with someone. Frank is kind of one of the hottest guys I've seen. I'm at least fibbing half-half for Bit going gay. I gotta be honest with you right now. A lot of the other chicks, guys, not really. Well-shaved mustache. This makes him look like Superman. I'm like 99 to 100% sure a lot of these people aren't actually learning anything from him. They're just doing it because he's hot, and this is just your indirect of saying, hey man, you're hot. This is like a very nice form of passive aggressiveness. Not in a bad manner, of course. I could be wrong. It's flirting. It's like, I want to, have sex with you. I'm being really mature about this, by the way. This makes him look like James Bond.
About a week ago, an acquaintance of mine.
Like, I could be wrong. Right, here's this one. I think the main reason you should not announce your goals. Thomas Frank, I've always thought was like a repository for like gay people to flock over. Like if I thought there was a secret hidden gaydar club, this would be it. Just think about it. You look at his picture. Look at this, and what do you think? Like once I tell you that, that's at least third or fourth in your mind. I figured, oh, maybe other people know already, so they already all clued in on the joke. Right? I think the main reason, because he's frank about it, right? People do think that. I think the main reason you should not announce your goals is that there's a big chance others doubt your capability or pass your own. Okay, that's true. That's probably the most valid reason. See, people give relevant advice to those they could fall in love with. I've always wondered why his vids attract so much attention, even though I always thought a lot of his ideas weren't really that useful for organizing anything. Now I know why. That's the reason you don't say anything. That's the most relevant. It's because they do pass personal judgment on you. So you can focus. That's a joke about staying quiet. Once you stay quiet, no one knows what your goals are, right? But the joke is you can't keep quiet about it forever. A lot of people can't. I personally don't care. Just stay quiet. So, right, if they don't know your dreams, they can't shoot you down. That's true. And a lot of people understand that. So I'll show you. This is just a short vid. I have a lot of things to do, but I have so many things. I talk about this for hours on end. Let's look at a scheduling system, right? Here's what I think. All right, so here is how you create a A/B testing scheduling system. You start here.
Hey, look at you. Floors by day, student by night. Student by day.
I find this fascinating to talk about, right? And it's a lot of work.
Everyone, welcome.
So Frank never talks about this. You notice a lot of people who actually have useful schedules journal a lot. Like I say 60 to 80%. Not really anywhere in Frank's journal, right? He doesn't give you a reminder, well, people journal. Once you journal, the scheduling thing becomes really useful because what would it then ends up using? And I'm doing it right now. Right? I don't actually have to use Notion. Some people use Notion. But I think they use Notion mainly because Frank told them to, not really because it's necessarily super useful. I use this. I definitely use this. I don't know if they'll let me. I use the calendar. I don't use any of the Notion apps because I don't understand how it could be used for me. You gotta see, one of the things I don't understand productivity apps is he gives like pros, cons, but he doesn't talk about you, right? He's not giving you a methodology to understand who you are. Right? He's really giving you, so it's like without that, there's no point in talking about the rest of these vids, right? Right? Advice works, nothing of the kind. So, anyways, yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe someone will. I'm sure some other people. I honestly would have just, I would have done so many other different systems right now. You know, what I would have done right now is, more productive use of his time is, he could have just said, hey, everyone online on Reddit. Reddit used to be so much more useful. I don't know if I see that thread, but they used to have a thread where it's like, everyone gave out their unique schedules for the day. And the joke was they all just copied off of it. If your schedule matched theirs. Trust me. And that's so much easier to schedule stuff. Now we don't have anything. Yeah, you would at least look at through like the first 500 schedules. You would see one that matched yours. And the ones with the most upvoted comments were like, I categorized them. That was on Reddit. I don't know where the thread is. 03, 05. It was way back when I thought Reddit was sane. I was thinking it was r/life. I don't know. Maybe they're sane now. I have no idea. I just have a personal opinion. So a lot of this isn't useful. Most people back then used to just give out their schedules free of charge. Everyone took it, right? Whatever their schedules were, and say, hey, I'm just going to add some modifications. I'll change my timestamps, right? People used to do this back then too, right? Remember pen pals, pen letters? People used to send letters. They used to, when they started out, they used to send schedules of each other. That's why I like pen pals so much, right? People sort of abandoned it. Sort of, right? They replaced it with Messenger. People used to do this stuff. They used to trade each other's schedules, and people copied off of it. So, like, people knew how much time they could spend on each activity. There's no need to create an entire industry of how to schedule. The other reason why the economy is not doing well is because a lot of the industries are kind of built around procrastination or solving procrastination. But the thing is, that's assuming that getting rid of procrastination means you're going to do something that produces anything of actual value. There's so many industries built on procrastination. Procrastination is not, you should not have so many industries focused on that. Because even if you get rid of it, are you focused on something that helps the CEO make more money? You should be focused more on generating wealth for your employer and then generating it for yourself. People waste a lot of time. Right? How to life. It's just not helpful. I'm a very conscious individual. I don't care about debates I get into, but I I'd much rather than debating, I'd much rather people present solutions. I don't care about my pride at that point. Okay? There's no merit in being a winner of a debate. Right? I would really, really like something legitimate rather than people just shouting at me, right? SJW, did you really care if the Republican shouts you down if they offer you something better than what you have already? Talking about luxury goods, right? Or something. Right? Oh, okay, I'll buy into your view. Isn't that what life is about? I don't care. That's my perspective on things. You can win the debate. I don't care. Yeah. Look, people choose to stick with a belief system because that's because their life shaped them that way, right? We all seem to forget that, and people in scheduling systems don't work because our lives are shaped differently than your life, Frank. That is why I'm very skeptical of your and with people with learning disabilities. I'm not offended. I'm just saying it's not the best place to go. Now, I would love to see if people can. People used to people back then used to figure out how to schedule their lives. They used to have a club for this. I'm thinking, I don't know if I'll go anywhere in life. I kind of wish I could. Some legitimate help. Right? Because here's the thing. Let's say you go to actuarial science. You get your figures. I think I was with Jesse one time. He just lived in an apartment. He passed an exam. That's it. Shouldn't you be making 6 figures? Shouldn't you be living in a big house? Suddenly they're telling me you got to pass exam P, FM, and all these other exams. He studied like his whole life. There's no guarantee you keep that salary either, right? I might as well just express my skepticism out in the open. I was too terrified to think about it back then. Do you really make $99K a year? And how many exams, right? People reward you if you're competent and do a good job. If you struggle in your exams, will they really give you that money? If you learn it effortlessly, they will give you that money. That money will come. You really will get 77. But if you suck, you spend your whole life learning exam by exam. Or will you really, really make? Because that takes too long, right? You're taking too long to learn stuff. Right? I'm going to have to let you go, or I'm going to have to pay you $40K a year, right? So this salary range is dependent on how easy you learn stuff. You can't just, ask Fluke, you can't just negotiate your salary. You have to do something on your end too, right? If you're struggling to learn this stuff, that doesn't bode well for how much you're compensated. People will say, well, I'll lowball you, right? Negotiation is a continuous A/B testing process. That doesn't mean you're actually paid this much. That's why I asked our managers, Amazon, the kind of place that pay people $20K a year. I'm talking about performance. Now, my problem is I wasn't plain about it. I'll apologize. Right? People like me have a lot to work on with their ego in life. But no one's helping me in this comments section right now. Take a look at this stuff. This isn't helping anyone. Right? Thanks for reading this on the third. So I can read it on the 20th. Thanks for the novel. It's like that's not really helping anyone in life. Okay, you don't agree with me. Maybe you don't maybe you don't like any of my babble that I talk about. That's fine. People used to explain in Reddit. There actually used to be thoughts. See, when I look at a thread, I don't go to a place where people agree with me. I go to a place where there's substantial content. Do you know why? Because schisms happen in any group anytime there's people with substantial thought. Because people with thoughts will always entertain opposing ideas. I'm willing to bet on that. You show me a party that actually has people that actually throw out substantial content and substantial thoughts, I will join it immediately and burn my SJW card free of charge as an SJW. Because that is the party that I'm more than happy. I'm confident enough I can convince them to form that even if I only agree with them, they'll give me, even if I don't agree with them, they will give me what I want in the end. Because people who are thinkers understand life is all about negotiation and trade. People with substantial thoughts will always form other groups. People don't do that anymore. Right? Do I care? And I'll just say this. That is all that matters to me when I'm joining a site. Do you have thoughts? Do you have ideas that get people from legitimately all across the aisle to agree on or entertain? And this doesn't just go to politics. This goes to everyday life. Right? I'm not the smartest guy who passed through the Bachelor of Science degree. I would love to make it work. I would really love to make stuff work, but life doesn't work like that. So what I can be is someone who can tell you this is what really matters in life. I'm the this is what really matters in life kind of guy. Is there a side? I mean, let's look at r/politics. Is there someone who really wants to offer something to people? Legitimately offer help, right? To those who need help. I'm not just talking about one side or the other. I'm talking about life, right? People here just like shouting from their scope boxes, right? Right? GOP donations are tainted with Russian money all over the country, I assume. Hence why all fights are any investigations. That's not a substantial thought. I'd much rather live in a world that's more reflective than reactive and has people with substantial thought than people who just agree with me. Because we all want better stuff in the end, right? People agree with me. Does that really help me? Maybe when I'm rich, I'll care about that. I want people who offer me stuff. This is just anger, hate, and rage and it doesn't matter if it's from the left or right. Remember what I offered? SJW first, Republican second. Right? This doesn't help anyone. Right? This look. That's great. Trump's caught. Fantastic. I agree. But is Robert Mueller helping you make more money? Did you get justice? Are you getting justice for any egregious wrongdoing you've had since childhood? What are you getting? I'm just cluing into what the game is. You're just distracted by this, right? Here's a substantial comment. Well, maybe it's true, right? Maybe the ex-Rand Paul aide is and I don't really even read into politics. This is one of the biggest questions I have with this is people assume there's a side here. What I would like to see both sides of the argument on this, right? I would like to see, hey, right, Rand Paul aid. Maybe Rand Paul was a Trump marketer. He needed to get some money from Russia, right? Because Russia was one of because if you're a populist, you're gonna have to get and you don't have any major donor groups funding your operations. You're gonna need funding from other countries. Period. Right? So remember when Franklin Delano Roosevelt ran for the nomination, he got money from China. If you're not getting any money from a major corporation, you need money from another country. Keep in mind, one of the reasons why Donald ran, and why do you want to know this even if you don't, because what if you want to get in on it too? There's legal loopholes. This is what's up. This is what's completely missing from this entire national conversation of this entire Reddit thread. Trump will go down in history. What about, how does this make my pocketbook bigger? This could be true. I'm not saying it's not true. But like, I noticed that conversation is just gone. I'm not saying get rid of these comments. I'm saying, where's the other conversation? Like, we shouldn't always just focus on roasting one side. What about helping your side? Does roasting one side help you live a better life in the end? It's fine to roast. It's like all the same people. Like, normally in the past, people roast and then offer a better alternative. At least they had someone every 50 comments, right? They used to make that like an unspoken mandatory thing. And the moment I say that means it's never happening. Right? Cash flow problems. Great. So why do you need help from Russia? Because Russia may actually want you to disengage with the Middle East. You understand how this game works? So if you're a populist and you're running to fix the system, you need an outsider to help you. Is Russia not an outsider in the system that's helping you disrupt stuff? If you want to run an aggressive progressive, you need an outsider to help from outside the system that helps you reform it, right? So it's a given you have to consider another country. Right? If you're a Democrat, you have to do this too. You don't have to change your opinion on this. I'm just saying I don't see anything like this being discussed anywhere. Anything like that, it's missing. So because it's missing, it doesn't matter if you smear it, but I'm just saying that any propositions of that, it's just gone. Right? Russia, you need help from Russia, Turkey, Uzbekistan. You need help from other countries as donors. Because the donor is the initial negotiation phase in which if you can run a successful primary using their aid, that means they'll help you later protect you against the swamp, right? Whatever that is. Whether it's a red-wing swamp or left-wing swamp, right? Right-wing swamp, yeah. Doesn't matter. You need insurance. Right? The NRA had a little Russian spy infiltrate, seduce, and schmooze politician. I just don't know what's going on right anymore. I mean, great. The NRA also needs to make money, and you, as the average American, need to make money too. And the reality is you need outside help, right, to successfully run any populist campaign. So what's the best way to express that you're helping someone? It's going to be money. It's going to be aid. It's going to have to come in something that appears to look like foreign interference, regardless of which side you're on. Now that I told you, does this headline sound like that outrageous? You can still say the same thing, but you could say, I just don't like you. And then add some context. You could have and because that context is missing, I can tell people are just here to be angry. It's just someone who's like an outside observer from the political arena, just looking at what is going on. I don't even need to read what the rest of it. I just know context is missing. And the Independent isn't even telling you whether Donald sucks or not. It's just they're just assuming based on their past articles about their opinions of Donald that they carry it over. I'm watching this without any preconception, right? Yeah, populists, left or right, they do need foreign country help. Who else is going to help them? And the assumption is you check their what their political interest is, and you assume their political interests align with your populist interests. That's the game. No one explained that to anyone, so I'll explain it to people. Yeah, that's the game. So if you're a populist, you need to run. You need to make sure you have friends because you can't get anything done without friends, right? If you're at Watch Assassination Classroom, everyone has friends. They pick strategic allies to help them get what they want. You have to do that as a populist. And the safest way to express your alliance is by becoming a foreign interest donor group. They could say, well, I'm not sure I agree, but seriously, what do you think is the best way to show appreciation? It's still donations. Right? You can't just say, hey, look, you're a foreign group, right? You say, well, this donation group is from another country. That doesn't necessarily mean like there is no civil discussion about this, because the moment you don't talk about this perspective is the moment you rob the Democratic Party of any chance of getting anything legitimate. I mean, I'm not saying anything. You can keep these comments. I'm not going to attack that. I'm just wondering what I think people genuinely are. They're too invested in hate, and that's what people want. That's okay. This sounds like these sound like Breitbart comments, by the way. Like, if you're not including the other day, I might as well, right? If it's not making me any money, I don't care. Right? That's all the reason you voted for any candidates, right? Right. There should talk about the money scheme, how the average everyday American can profit. Not there. So yeah, it's one of those threads. I don't even have to be keen into politics. I can already guess. Right. Senate GOP agenda would like hike tax on the poorest 40% by average of $1,000. Here's the funny thing about Texas. It's not really Republican, actually. Why would I talk about this? I want to put a bellwether warnings for anyone who wants to live in a progressive state. Now, as a progressive, you could get screwed by this. Think about it. Texas is really has always been a progressive state. Like I said, socialism for the rich, right? I've never thought of it as a right-wing state. I never did. Because why would you tax hike on the poor? Unless you're giving money to the rich. Some of these GOP states really aren't right-wing. Just because they wear a red, it's like a Democrat in the worst way possible, like the worst kind of Democrat you can imagine, but wearing a right-wing flag, right? As a progressive, you need to take warnings, because here's the problem with here's the game of politics. Let's say you are a progressive state like Vermont, and you want a tax hike to help the rich someday, right? Because politicians are corrupt all the time. That doesn't mean Bernie is going to become corrupt, but you got to think about this. How do you want to see if you can get away with siphoning money from the poor? Well, you tax on a right-wing state. Right? Now you see what's going on here. You stare from a distance. And if you can get away with it, why don't you pull it off, right? Criticize Texas. Meanwhile, he pulls it under the rug. I'm not saying he would do it. He wouldn't. He might consider it if he wants to retire rich. Got politicians, they all sort of think about the money, the cash flow, whether it's super dirty or less dirty. No one's thinking about this. CRT isn't real. It's upper level stuff. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the salary ranges, I don't really believe. But I want to believe maybe I would have had the chance to make more money. I'll do anything to grab more money. Because some of these right-wing states really aren't right-wing. Now, they will always identify as Republican. You see the trick here? So you as the progressive could get swindled because they may look at this, that works. As long as I only believe that only Republicans do it, let me see if I can pull it on my state. Maybe they won't notice it because they'll falsely believe only Republicans do it. Right? By categorizing one activity with one side, you fail to see the same activity done on your side. Wouldn't that screw you if you're poor? People don't consciously do it, but they're definitely thinking about it. Right? The only difference is Republicans can openly get away with it. Right? If you can openly get away, maybe I can covertly get away with it. Right? We all agree there's corruption on both sides. I'm just speculating about certain stuff. There's just other possibilities you can think of. And of course, if you look anywhere here, they're not talking about this, right? Right? I'm sure they will heroically find a way to blame, like no one's talking about this. They're just, it's the Republicans' fault. That is how it starts. You feel comfortable. So comfortable that your side is so, your ego is stroked, so you're caught off guard. Like, you can keep these comments on, but nothing of this is mentioned. And I'm sure if you talk to Reddit, they'd probably be like, you need to see a psychologist, right? Yeah, Reddit get rid of all the progressives that call them out on this. Right? They would usually bring like, well, yeah, it's true, but keep in mind our state might pull this off someday too, because you're a little too invested in the hate. They all left. It's like, you're a Republican? No. I just know people like to get money. They're gone. They're all gone. Right? It's pulling the ladder from up behind them, right? Up behind the progressives. Anyone who would point it out is like gone from this thread. I don't like that because then they're like, well, are you trying to support? Well, because they can't phrase it the best way. You know what I mean? Right? Don't be fooled. I feel like they're trying to they'll always frame it the wrong way. Like, oh, you're falsely blaming the Republicans because the Democrats. So I see that's how they frame it all the time because they live in like two sides. They don't think for like a couple days on how to frame it. By then it's too late, right? I know how to frame this stuff. People don't message it right. There's no comment about any of this, about the context, right? That this is a political maneuver they're testing to see if they can get away with Republicans, maybe the Democrats can get away with it. It's not anywhere here. No comments. No comments. Oh, you won't see this r/conservative. I don't think the GOP understands what war on poverty is about. There's nothing. Anyways, it's a long comment. I'll end it here.